This whole Freeman thing is really taking a course in a conversation. Chipper Jones speaks out saying Freeman was the one who walked away from the Braves, that he turned his back on the Braves. The Braves wanted to re-sign him. He had no thoughts of re-signing with the Braves. I know a lot of people were saying that the Braves could have locked him in if they wanted him. That's not true. Chipper Jones obviously has an inside source that Freeman did not want to come back. He wanted to go to the Dodgers. He wanted to go home. Muncy and some of the guys over there that are very close with him and train with him in the offseason wanted him there. He had no thoughts of coming back to the Braves. He was always planning to go to the Dodgers. And yes, he had no thoughts of playing for the Yankees when the Yankees offered him a 4-year contract. So it was Dodgers or nothing for Freeman. And Chipper Jones is not very happy about what Freeman did, leaving the Braves to hang. But they added Olsen. He's not Freeman. He's a younger Freeman. So maybe Olsen coming to the National League from the American League will only make him better than what he was last year, which, by the way, he was an MVP candidate. Not a bad move for the Braves, but they gave up a lot. So
yeah. Pache was one of their top prospects. Actually, I think it was their best overall hitting prospect, so that's going to be a tough loss for them. He had trouble hitting, but they brought back all their outfielders, so there might be no spot for him anyway. But
yeah, so
still, Olsen was phenomenal. Actually hit for a better batting average than previous years at 279. And yes,
MVP candidate.
Was an MVP candidate for quite a while. It just,
top 5.
It gets lost in the kind of year because of the year Vlad Jr. and Ohtani had that it just, you weren't thinking. It was mainly that 2-horse race.
And now coming to the National League, it's going to definitely change.
The biggest thing is it gets out of that ballpark. Yeah. Oakland's a huge pitching park.
But as far as the Yankees are concerned, this whole Carlos Correa thing, a lot of Yankee fans are upset that the Yankees are being cheap right now, that the Yankees aren't making the moves. Carlos Correa gets a 3-year, $105 million contract. The Yankees can't afford $105 million. Carlos Correa is getting paid $31 million a year. Now, Carlos Correa is a great shortstop, one of the top 3 shortstops in baseball. But the Yankees feel, and I don't blame the Yankees, they are stocked up with shortstops. Pariza, Volpe, and then they just brought in probably the best prospect international player in all of the world from the Dominican Republic. The Yankees are stacked at that position. Now, they could have brought him in for 3 years, but it's not going to take that much longer for Volpe to be called up or Pariza, where they'll be the future for this organization. So am I hurt that Brian Cashman didn't make the move? No, but this is the way the Yankees are going now. The Yankees are not going to overspend for players for no reason. That's not the way the Yankees want to go now. They want to build through their farm system. They have some pieces. Yankee fans keep forgetting. They're paying Giancarlo Stanton $300 million. Garrett Cole, $300 million. That's $600 million for 2 players. They're not too fond of Giancarlo Stanton. He's one of the top 10 power hitters in baseball. He was an MVP. Garrett Cole is a Cy Young candidate every year. So to say that the Yankees aren't spending money is a ridiculous statement.
They've done a lot of it switching around this offseason. You saw the Josh Donaldson trade. They swapped Gary Sanchez. They dropped Urshela and then trade for Isaiah Kiner for Lefa, who's an infield type guy. They also bring in Marwin Gonzalez recently, too. So,
I like that move, by the way.
Yeah, it's not a bad move for the utility purpose.
Who could play multiple positions.
And he's a switch hitter, too. So it's not a bad idea to try to experiment with depth because the Yankees have been very injury-prone the last couple of years, especially with their core pieces. So
Marwin won a World Series.
Definitely the experience could help there, too. Depth is something the Yankees have had good amounts of, but sometimes it hasn't panned out with the prospects and also getting injured as well. You saw that with Florial. We've seen that with Gleyber Torres since he's come up. I think the expectation versus the reality hasn't been there, so they brought it more in a veteran sense this offseason, too. Now, Donaldson's a hefty contract, and hopefully you get back to
2 years.
It's not bad for the year's length.
$25 million.
The Yankees got to hope that at least he can come back in the form of the
in
American
that
League.
lineup,
in that ballpark especially, I think it'll definitely help him get back to that because the
in
Twins,
that lineup, he's never been protected like that.
The Blue Jays, when he was there, you definitely saw it as MVP peak year. When he is around that kind of talent around him, Batista and Encarnacion like he had there, the Yankees have it similar when healthy with Stanton and Judge.
This is a better lineup.
It's a more balanced lineup, absolutely, because the Blue Jays, when he was there, was kind of top heavy, where they didn't really have the depth like the Yankees do when healthy. We'll see if he does it worthy of the contract, but it's 2 years. It's not bad for them to get out of, and they could pay their young players at the end of that.
I love the move with Donaldson and putting him in the middle of that lineup. If he's hot, you could put him at 3, you could put him at 4. You have Aaron Judge, you have Giancarlo Stanton, you have Gleyber Torres playing second base, DJ LeMahieu. What lineup is better than the Yankees lineup? I mean, the Dodgers are right there with them, but in the American League, the Yankees probably have the best lineup in all of the American League, especially for power. It's not scary until you step in that box and you have to face these back-to-back batters. Donaldson is going to see more pitches, better pitches. The question is he going to stay healthy? Even last year, he didn't even play the whole season. He still had 26 26 home runs and 72 RBIs, and he was on a team that, let's be honest, was not protecting him. Now you're going to a team that you're going to be batting either 5th or 6th, maybe even 4th, around Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. That's fantastic. He is going to see a lot more pitches, and I know Yankee fans, it wasn't like Carlos Correa. He's a better player than Carlos Correa. He's a good defensive player, but he's not Carlos Correa good.
He's lost a step a little.
Offensively, he's got better numbers than Carlos Correa. He's a better hitter than Carlos Correa. I know Carlos Correa hits for average more. Carlos Correa never won an MVP. This guy was an MVP candidate for 4 years, and he won an MVP. Now, obviously, he's 36 years old. He's not something that he was 5-6 years ago. He still can hit 30 home runs a season. He still can give you 100 RBIs. And if you put him in the middle of the line, but he gives you that. And by the way, he's a good playoff hitter. He's great in Yankee Stadium. 15 home runs in Yankee Stadium. Over a 300 hitter right now in Yankee Stadium. Brian Cashman wouldn't have brought him in if he didn't think he fit.
It's a good chance for a culture change, too, because he was great with the Braves, but then struggled with the Twins. So which end of it
couldn't stay healthy with the Twins. He had 26 home runs and 72 RBIs.
No, I meant compared to the Braves. But even so, they were able to get a good trade chip as well, because a lot of people were concerned about what they were going to get with the Gary Sanchez. His market was very questionable as well, based on his defense, based on his regression as a on-base percentage and batting average type guy. He was striking out a lot, and he really wasn't developing like he should. So a lot of people didn't think the Yankees were going to get a lot for Gary Sanchez. So they were able to get a good piece with Donaldson. Isaiah Kiner for life is another one that I think is very underrated too.
He only played 135 games, which is 162 games in a season. If he were to play 162 games, he probably would have averaged 600 at-bats. He had 26 home runs in 45 less games. If he played in those 45 games, he would have hit 35 to 40 home runs this year. And he would have had over 100 RBIs. Donaldson still has it. And you put him in a lineup with the Yankees, that's only going to make him better. The Yankees lineup are way better right now than the Twins are. Yes, he's a little bit older. Donaldson is a professional hitter. He's not going to hit a 300 average. His best year was 301. He's hit 297, 255, 270. He's still batting where he usually bats when it comes to batting average. He's a power hitter that gets you RBIs, and that's what the Yankees love. He doesn't strike out a lot.
Right. That's the biggest thing I like about it is he doesn't strike out a lot, and he could be a good influence to a lot of those younger
Only
infielders.
114 strikeouts last year.
Defensively, I don't think he's been the same as since he was in Oakland, but still, he still could be a stalwart at third base, or they could also platoon him in different spots too, because if they could put LeMahieu at third, they could put LeMahieu at short. Marwin Gonzalez, same kind of thing too, and Kiner Falefa. All those guys can move around the infield too, so you don't have to pressure Josh Donaldson into being an all-the-time third baseman either, so he doesn't wear his body out at 36 years old.
With the Yankees' power all around the roster, all around the diamond, look at it. They have Donaldson who can hit you 30 and 100, Giancarlo that can hit you 30 and 100, Aaron Judge that can hit you 30 and 100, G.J. LeMahieu can hit you close to 25 and almost 100 RBIs, Gleyber Torres can hit you 30 and 100. This is a good roster. This is a good lineup. It's not going to be easy throughout the season. And Aaron Hicks is coming back this year. Joey Gallo can hit you 30 and 100. Anthony Rizzo can hit you 30 and 100 this year in a full season. So the Yankees lineup is stacked. And anybody could sit here and say, oh, the Yankees aren't good this year. Get out of here. There's not many lineups that could be compared to the Yankees lineup. Even Chapman landing with the Blue Jays, where everybody's just like salivating on the Blue Jays lineup. The Blue Jays lineup is still not as good as the Yankees lineup. Not even close with the power in their lineup. So I don't know why people are jumping off a bridge about the Yankees this year. Relief pitching, I don't think the Yankees are done relief pitching. There's still a lot of good relief pitchers available. As a Yankee fan, you should be very excited this year. They are a playoff team. It's not even an argument.
Extra team now. They definitely should get in.
They could win the division this year. With that lineup, they just got to stay healthy.
That's the one thing that concerns me with them.
But now adding Donaldson, it just gives you another power bat. If Aaron Judge gets hurt, Giancarlo gets hurt, you're still going to get your home runs and your power in Yankee Stadium with Josh Donaldson. Anthony Volpe's played 3 games, and he has 4 at-bats, 2 strikeouts, but what he did in the fall league, I expect him to win the job. Now, obviously, he's not going to start the season. They brought in Kiner Falefa, who's a good defensive player, not much of a hitter, but...
No, he's a contact stolen base guy.
Yeah,
but the Yankees need something like that.
The Yankees are going to expect Volpe or Pariza to move up one way or another from AAA, so I expect one of these guys and see one of these guys this year mid-season. So Volpe could absolutely make the team. By the way, his birthday's April 28th, a day before my birthday, so... like that as well. He's a Taurus. As far as the Mets are concerned, they've looked good so far in spring training. Max Scherzer throwing the ball very well. Jacob deGrom's look sensational. This lineup is going to be a pretty good lineup. Are they a Dodger lineup? No. Lindor hit a home run the other day. He looks pretty good. He looks a lot better than he did. He looked lost last year. I expect him to be a much better this year, especially in a better lineup. You're hitting Marte, Cano. They have some good hitters in their lineup, and I think this is a lineup that absolutely has an opportunity to be a pretty good lineup. a contact lineup too, and a lineup that can actually steal bases and hit for power. Are they the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Blue? No, the Mets are not that. They're a pitching team. With this pitching staff, they should be in every game. Now, they can't expect Max Scherzer to play more than 30 games and DeGrom to play more than 30 games this year. So they have to win those games when those guys are on the mound. If you can win most of those games, let's say Scherzer pitches 30 games and DeGrom pitches 30 games, which he hasn't in a while. Both players can win 20 games. That's 40 games. That puts you in a very good position to win 90 games. So I expect both pitchers to have good seasons. I believe Carrasco will have a bounce back this year. Bassett, he had a good season last year. I think he was 15-4.
He was an all-star. That he got struck with a bad line drive, and that hindered his season. Hopefully he doesn't deteriorate after that because he's 33 years old, but still a good pitcher.
He's still a good pitcher. He doesn't pitch for power. He's not a power pitcher.
Right.
So he's an off-speed pitcher with a good curveball and changeup. So I expect the Mets to be very good this year and a playoff team, especially for coming from the National League East, which still has the Braves, which I don't know if they got better, but they didn't get any worse. Yeah. And Anika Acuna. I expect both teams to be fairly good this year. I think the Yankees could be better than the Mets just because of the lineup. That lineup is scary, man.
Yeah, it's just a matter of staying healthy. That's the question. But the same thing with the Mets, too.
But even if they don't stay, let's say Giancarlo and Judge is out for a significant amount of time. They have Donaldson. They have Rizzo. They have Gallo. They have power all over that lineup. They have arguably 5 of the top 20 power hitters in baseball.
Can they get more besides power, though, will be the other thing that makes
They don't need it. They can win games. Now, in the playoffs, it's going to be different.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
But that doesn't matter because at the trade deadline, they can make a move. You forget that there's 162 games. If the Yankees need players that can hit for average, they can make a trade at the trade deadline. Right now, they can win with strictly power. And now that there's no shift anymore, these guys are going to hit for average, too. If you're a Yankee fan, you should be very, very excited going into the season because I think the Yankees, they're going to absolutely hit for average.